Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. So in this video, I just want to kind of clarify the truth about some misinformation going around, and some outlets have made it sound as though the Lando project is cancelled, and that's not really the case. In my most recent video near the end, we spoke about Justin Simien, the original showrunner of what was going to be the Lando Disney Plus show. His anger and dismay at Lucasfilm not speaking with him directly, telling him it was being cancelled because that iteration of it is. But as we found out in September of 2023, the Lando series is now being developed as a movie by the Glover brothers, Donald and Steven. But that seems to have gone under the radar, and with headlines like we've been getting over the past 24 hours, a good portion of fans seem to think Lando as a project in its totality is cancelled. It's been scrapped by Lucasfilm, but as far as we know, unless they come out and say the Lando movie is scrapped, it's just the series version. But we have no update on the movie, and I'm not saying it's going to be developed. I know that Star Wars and Lucasfilm has a track record of never giving us updates on projects, so I'm not saying even the movie is going to happen, but it's not been cancelled, and Donald Glover has not given us any definitive word on this. As far as we know, and the latest he spoke on this topic was back in February of this year, it is still going ahead at his own pace. It might be the untitled Star Wars movie we get in 2027, especially if Sean Levy's movie and Dave Filoni's movie are pushed back. I guess we'll find out at D23 in a couple of days what the situation is. But as far as we know, the Lando movie is still in the works. And I've seen lots of X accounts and various outlets run with this idea that Lando as a project is gone. And it just goes to show you the power of headlines, because if you read the article by Collider, it's very clear. They're just talking about the Justin Simien version, which we've known has been cancelled since September. Okay, so now we come on to a legitimate question, which I think is going to be a bit contentious. Do Star Wars fans in 2024 even want a Lando movie or project? You've got to remember that this was announced for the first time during 2020's Disney Investor Day, and at the time, Star Wars was booming. Interest, according to YouTube Analytics, Google Analytics, The Mandalorian Season 2 had captivated fans across the world, and everyone wanted to know, what are these projects being announced going to involve? But now that Star Wars is in a very different state to back then, and recently with The Acolyte, I think Disney and Lucasfilm are going to give a good think about the kind of things they really want to put out, especially after Solo: A Star Wars Story bombed. Are they going to really risk putting out a movie about a character like Lando if Han Solo's movie didn't do well? And we're not talking about Billy D. Williams' Lando, we're talking about Donald Glover. I think he did a good job, but is there interest there? I spoke about this recently in a podcast with my good friend Star Wars 1, and we were talking about just how much interest there was in Star Wars only 4 years ago, and now we're in a very different time where I think there needs something to revamp it, and I don't think Lando, of all the upcoming projects, is going to do that.
Mando Season 2 was the absolute peak. We have not returned there since. Even Force Awakens, like TLJ time before that, was even higher, but I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm pretty sure there was a Twitter thread just this week by Eckhart Slatter. He mentioned that back during 2020, and I think he also mentioned the Force Awakens period, you could put a black screen with a Lucasfilm logo on it. And you can't just say it's just because of the series themselves. There's just a general apathy that's grown in every aspect. The books, even the games, because there's no games coming out apart from like one a year. The comics, the shows, everything.
Lando in and of himself is a very cool character, and if they want to do anything with him, put him in the Mandalorian and Grogu, or Dave Filoni's movie. I don't think a standalone Lando project is going to perform especially well. If some of the projects like The Mandalorian Season 3 that Disney were counting on to do big numbers didn't, and considering Solo's failure back in 2018, as much potential as there would be in a story like this, is Disney really going to risk it? I'll let you answer in the comments. And so that's why this was trending. Lando series confusion, project status clarified. The Star Wars project Lando, initially reported as a series, faced confusion after director Justin Simien confirmed its cancellation in an interview. However, it was clarified that while Simien is no longer involved, the project is still moving forward as a movie, with Donald Glover and his brother taking over the writing, albeit in a different format than originally planned. And this last bit cannot be overstated. Donald Glover, speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, said he doesn't like the repetitive nature of Hollywood. He wants to subvert our expectations because he doesn't want to make a Lando movie that fans are going to find predictable. Here's what he said. At this point, I know when something's going to be good, because you're really fighting the industry when you put your imprint on a franchise of that magnitude. I want to feel like I have enough control, and maybe you get painted as a control freak, but it's like, yeah, control allows for the vision to be singular. And if the vision is singular, people want it more. The less it's singular, the less people want it because they feel as though they could have made it. We live in a time where anyone can make anything. You go on TikTok or YouTube, there's literally every type of thing. There's documentaries, there's puppetry, there's yarn stop motion, so why would you want to see something you feel like you could have made? And considering it seems like Star Wars wants to distance itself from Solo: A Star Wars Story after its box office disaster, I don't expect the Lando series to be a continuation. I do have hope in this movie. I know it's worrying for some fans when creatives come out and say, we're going to flip the script, do something deliberately altering of your perception of this character. But Donald is a big Star Wars fan, and he spoke with Billy D. Williams and understands that charm is the most important attribute of his character, and I thought he did a great job in his first portrayal in 2018. And he said, I would love to play Lando again. It's a fun time. So I don't know if we're going to get any kind of announcement to do with this movie at D23, but what I'm trying to say is, my dear friends, don't always believe headlines. There's been a massive misinformation spread to do with this project, and I always do my best in my daily reporting. I've been doing this for years to be as accurate as I can. And just before we move on, my dear friends, if you've not done so already, please be sure to hit the big subscribe button down below, and also be sure to give the bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. But no more jibber jabber, let's move on. So we're now in August of 2024, and we have two really big projects remaining this year, and those are Star Wars Outlaws the video game and Skeleton Crew coming this December. And in both, we're getting two characters which, according to some fans, gives Grogu a run for his cuteness. I don't think you can ever replace Grogu. You cannot out-cute him. I think with Grogu, despite him being an adorable character, he's also got so much intrigue. He survived the dark times, and just the fact he's a Yoda species gives him an edge over other cute Star Wars characters, Star Wars babies, if you will. And when Young Jedi Adventures came out, fans made a big deal about nubs. In the sequel trilogy we had BB-8 and Dio, but now in Star Wars Outlaws, it's the sidekick of K-Vess, Nix. And fans who are already very critical of the game say that he's just a MacGuffin. He supposedly helps you in your missions, but he can't die. And we've seen multiple teasers, trailers, gameplay overviews, walkthroughs, and Ubisoft made a video explaining the importance of the character from a narrative standpoint. Nix has been Kay's companion and friend since she was young, but you can't control him, you can't play as him. IGN said, quote, he is just a tool in your arsenal, and I think in a big way, very similar to Grogu, he is just going to be used to sell merch. In the case of Skeleton Crew, the character in question is Neil, the Ortolan. Another character I think fans are going to obsess over. There is a Lego minifigure, there is going to be a Black Series figure according to rumours. But like I say, my dear friends, you cannot outdo the significance in the Star Wars fandom, but also the pop culture zeitgeist of Grogu, or Baby Yoda as some fans still call him. Like I've said before, I think he's going to be the main selling point of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. You're going to see his face everywhere. But this notion of this article, goodbye Baby Yoda, he's been replaced. I'm sorry, but no, he hasn't. You can't replace him. You just can't. Maybe give us a baby Jar Jar Binks. I'm just being silly. But finally, my dear friends, here's a fun little topic. Someone laid out all of the live action and animated shows and put a big question forward to the fandom. If you could only save one of these, which are you saving? And this is my question of the day to you. Of all of these, which one, if you could only choose one, are you saving? I find it tough, because while I acknowledge that Andor was the best written series, it's not as fun and as fundamentally Star Warsy in its versatility as The Mandalorian, in my opinion. So I might have to say Mando. Definitely not The Acolyte. I like Tales of the Jedi, but I think they should have had a separate question for the animated shows. The Clone Wars is brilliant. I also find it hard because a part of me wants to say Star Wars Rebels above everything else. That is my comfort show. It's a tie between Star Wars Rebels, Andor, and The Mandalorian. But how would you guys vote? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you, always.